Hello. In the next few slides, we will talk about key elements of the different applications with a particular focus on the UK and the US. That was on a lighter note and an aside. Coming to the US application process. The list you see in front of you is a partial list. We're actually going to go on to the next page. So if you think this is it, this is just the beginning. Let's go over them one by one. The personal statement. Unlike the UCAS personal statement, which is academic in nature, the US personal statement is more story-esque. What the admission officer wants to know is not about your grades. They want to know who you are and what are you bringing to the table. What skills and background are you going to bring to the campus you wish to join? So it's usually a more dramatic and creative piece of writing. Very, very different from what you would be writing for either the UK and frankly for even Europe or Asia. So the US is very different as far as the personal statement requirements are concerned. In addition, for each university that you're applying for, and we recommend that you apply to at least 15, 5 reach, target, and likely schools. So 5 that you're aspiring to go to, 5 which are matched with your profile, your grades, and your extracurriculars, and 5 safety where you feel like, okay, yahan to mera ho jayega, because you don't want to walk away from that process with a gap year and getting admissions nowhere. So it's always better to hedge your bets, always better to have some safety options. Every university that you're applying to, for the most part, you can expect in your ambitious universities, in your ambitious list, and even in your match list, to write anywhere between 2 to 6 to sometimes 8 supplementary essays. The word count would differ. If they're asking for 2 or 3 supplementary essays, usually it's in the range of 500 words. When you're looking at 8 supplementary essays, the word count is much less, maybe 100, maybe 150. Nonetheless, you really have to do your research before you tackle the supplemental essays. You need to make sure that you have gone to the university website that you're interested in, let's say Yale, and do your research about which professors are there, which clubs are there, what extracurriculars are they offering, rather than writing the generic, the faculty here is great, I would love to be in this location. Please, location should never be one of the reasons you mention in your supplemental essays. The admission officers know that the weather in California is sunny and it's a lovely place to be. This year, and continuation of last year, the Common App is also offering you an optional essay regarding the COVID situation. Now, as far as I'm concerned, anytime something is optional, that means you should do it. It's another way for you to present another facet of your personality, so go ahead and take the plunge. Things to be careful for as far as the COVID essay is concerned. Please read the directions. They're not asking for your reflection on the pandemic's impact worldwide. They're asking for a reflection on the impact on you. Did you or your loved one contract COVID? What was the impact on that on you emotionally? Did that affect you academically? Did your grades suffer? Did you have a hard time studying during this time in the online way? So they're really looking for that personal impact, not a reflection on this is what was happening in my country, etc., etc. A common problem that students make. In addition, in the US application, you also have to note at least 10 activities that you have done after class 9. If you've done it in class 7, if you've done it in class 8, you got a gold medal in a swimming competition, you cannot list it because the Common App particularly and the Coalition App will state, please note your achievements and your activities after class 9. So always be wary of guidelines, people. Take them seriously. And so you should list your 10 most remarkable activities. Things like being an office bearer of a club or society, So if you were the president of your robotics club, you were the vice president of the STEM club, fantastic. Those are the things that should be there. Keep in mind that the activities which are aligned with your academic passion, what you wish to apply for. So for instance, if you are applying for psychology, you did an internship related to psychology at the autism center or somewhere like that, that should be at the top. The list of activities is not meant to be listed chronologically. Once again, a mistake that students make, but in order of importance to you. So you have to think about it. Also, be very careful. You just have 150 characters including spaces. That's literally a line and a half to maximum 2 lines. The more concrete information you give, the better it would be. So if you say, I organized 5 bake sales and raised 50,000 rupees for the SOS orphanage, that is much better than saying, I organized several bake sales and raised money to give to a charity organization. Do you see the difference? The first one is very specific. You have quantitative details versus a more generic statement. They're both referring to the same thing. However, giving the specifics and details make it much more concrete, much more believable. Similarly, your list of awards that you have won after class 9 and not before should be listed in order of importance to you. Now, there is another element on how you should go about listing your awards. In addition to order of importance to you, another thing to be wary about is on the right hand side of the portal, you will notice that for each award they will give you options. Did you get this award at the international level, national, provincial, inter-school and school? We have many activities taking place at the school and inter-school level, whether gramathons ho rahe, HSN Fest ho raha hai, and so there's a lot to say about that. But oftentimes we don't get a chance to really excel at the national and international level. If you have done so, if you won a race at the provincial level, go ahead, it should be towards the top. In addition to all these other elements of the US application, more key pieces. The standardized tests, the SAT, the primary test for the SAT as well as the SAT subject test. While the US has gone SAT optional currently for COVID, how long this lasts remains to be seen. You should prepare and give your SAT only if it is dragging the rest of your application down. You can then go SAT optional and not release a score. So let's say you are an A star and an A student in your O levels and in your predicted A level grades. You got A stars, you smashed it. However, when you came to the SAT, you had a terrible day and you never got a chance to give it again because your center got cancelled. So let's say you got a 1250 or even a 1300. Go SAT optional. That score is actually bringing you down. Till this option remains, you should avail it. How many years it remains so, we don't know, but it is there currently, so you can take advantage of this. Moreover, interviews. Many students don't know that you can actually request interviews. If you go to the admissions website of the university you're interested in, let's say Brown, you can see that there are various options being offered, primarily because of COVID, but that's an advantage to us internationals. Normally, interviews are done or used to be done just on campus, and there were some universities which offered you the option of alumni interviews in Pakistan. However, now many universities are offering you the option. You can go on their website and simply click an option or schedule an interview directly with an admissions officer. This is an excellent opportunity for you to present a face along with the application. It gives it a more personal feel to the process. This, by the way, can also count towards demonstrated interest. It shows you are going the extra mile to learn about the university. So let's say you attended either an admissions fair or you had an interview with your university of choice. Immediately after, I would say within the next 24 hours, you should write, "Dear Mr. John, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for taking out the time to give me this interview, and it has reiterated that Brown is my university of choice." Blah blah. You get the gist. So it's really about keeping in touch with the admissions officer and using that to your advantage as well, because it really shows you going out of your way to reach out to that particular university. Now, I know some students say, "Gosh, that's a lot of work for 15 universities." I agree, but I think it's worth your while to do it for perhaps your top 4 to 5 choices. It's an investment of time worth making. It's not like demonstrated interest, or the interview is going to make or break your application process. But these are things which make a difference on the margin, particularly for competitive schools. Also, there is an additional information section in both these portals, and you should use it wisely. I had a student who used this remarkably who was interested in studying mechatronics. He made a YouTube video of himself showing all the different robots he had made over the course of his high school period, and he uploaded it on YouTube, and then he put that link in the additional information section. So there are various ways that you can showcase your portfolio. If you are a writer and if you have been published, whether in your school magazine or outside, you can actually embed the links into that sheet, once again letting the admissions office see actual proof rather than just claims. Know that unfortunately South Asia is getting that reputation that we exaggerate our achievements. So it's all the more important that whenever you can put in verifiable evidence, do so. It's going to help you in your application process. And last, unlike the UK, where you are just looking at one recommendation, in the US, the minimum is one counselor recommendation. So if your school has a counselor, they would be the one writing it. If your school doesn't have a counselor, sometimes it's a coordinator, sometimes it's from the principal's office, but essentially that is a mandatory recommendation. In addition, you need 2 teacher recommendations, and those teachers have to be don't necessarily have to be from your A-levels. You can get one from your O-levels if you've done really well in that, and one from your A-levels. That's what I would typically recommend. And over and above this, many universities will give you the option. You can not only put in or upload an additional 1 or 2 teacher recommendations, but they put it as optional recommendations. As I mentioned earlier, whenever there is an option, take it. It's a chance for you to show different aspects of yourselves. So if you are good in sports, go to your coach, request them to write a recommendation. If you intern somewhere, go to them, ask them to write the recommendation. If you are into debating, go to your debates coach, ask them to write the recommendation. Whoever can bring other facets of your personality to the forefront, use this opportunity. So I know students think, okay, recommendations, optional work, I can just make my life easier. If you're looking for those scholarships, please go ahead and make use of every single place where you can brag about yourself. Like it or not, this is how the US system works.